Malik's back hit the penthouse wall as Aerin pulled him into a kiss, claiming his mouth, her breath warm against his neck, while Ara, still half unbuttoning her dress back up her shoulder, circled behind him with a slow, daring smile. The three of them had promised this would be just one reckless night, a secret none of them would ever speak of again. But the moment Malik's hands slid around the twins' waists, the door slammed open with a force that shook the three of them. "They found us," Malik whispered, breaking free from Aerin. Aerin jerked away. Ara cursed under her breath. Malik froze, shirt half open, heart hammering. Framed in the doorway stood their father, King Aerin Seo, ruler of a private empire and a man feared across the peninsula in South Korea. His gaze swept over Malik's bare chest, over his daughter's disheveled and half-unbuttoned clothes, and the silence that followed was heavier than any gunshot. "African man," he said coldly, voice shaking with outrage, "step away from my daughters before I decide whether you leave this room alive." Malik's pulse roared in his ears. He'd faced boardroom sharks, corrupt officials, and armed security contractors across 3 continents, but nothing had prepared him for the glacial fury in Aerin Seo's eyes. The old man's hand rested on something beneath his jacket. Malik didn't need to see it to know what it was. Aerin stepped forward, her chin lifted in defiance. "Father, this isn't what you think. Isn't it?" Daejin's voice cracked like thunder. "I find my daughters, both of you, with this stranger in a private penthouse I didn't authorize, dressed like common—" "Careful," Ara interrupted, her voice silk over steel. She moved beside her sister, creating a wall between Malik and their father. "You taught us never to show weakness. Don't start now." The twins stood identical in height and beauty, but Malik had learned to read the subtle differences. Aerin's fire burned bright and immediate, while Ara's smoldered beneath calculated control. Right now, both were incandescent. Daejin's jaw tightened. "You have 30 seconds to explain why I shouldn't kill him where he stands." "Because he just saved your company," Aerin said flatly. "The leak you hired him to find? It's not a who, it's a what. Someone's been siphoning encrypted data through a ghost protocol embedded in your security infrastructure for 6 months. Malik traced it to an offshore account tonight. We came here to verify the source before presenting it to you tomorrow." It was a perfect lie, delivered with the precision of someone who'd been lying to powerful men her entire life. Malik watched Daejin's expression shift from rage to suspicion. "Then why," the old man said slowly, "are your clothes in such disarray?" Ara laughed, low and dangerous. "Because we celebrated too early with champagne. Because we're adults. Because it's none of your concern." She stepped closer to her father, fearless. "You don't own us, father. You never did." The air crackled with tension so thick Malik could taste it. For 5 brutal seconds, no one moved. Then Daejin turned his gaze to Malik, and Malik saw something worse than anger. He saw calculation. "You have until Monday to deliver your final report," Daejin said. "If what my daughters claim is true, you'll be compensated accordingly. If it's not—" He let the threat hang. "We'll discuss the consequences." He left without another word, but the door didn't close behind him. A message. He'd be watching. The moment his footsteps faded, Aerin's composure shattered. She sank onto the leather sofa, hands trembling. That was too close. Malik finally exhaled. "Your father would have actually—" "Yes," Ara said simply. She moved to the bar, poured 3 glasses of whiskey with steady hands. "He's had men disappeared for less. Much less." "Then why risk it?" Malik demanded, his mind still reeling. "Why risk everything for this?" Aerin looked up at him, and the vulnerability in her eyes made his chest tighten. "Because for the first time in our lives, we wanted something that wasn't about duty or dynasty or the fucking Seo legacy." She stood, closing the distance between them. "We wanted you." Ara handed him a glass. Both of us. The confession hung in the air like smoke. Malik had known, of course. The stolen glances during security briefings, the way Aerin found reasons to work late when he did, how Ara's hand would linger on his shoulder just a beat too long. He'd told himself it was dangerous, forbidden, impossible. But 3 weeks ago, Aerin had kissed him in the server room after midnight, desperate and hungry, and when Ara had walked in, instead of being shocked, she'd locked the door behind her and asked if there was room for one more. Now, standing in the wreckage of their near disaster, Malik knew the truth. This wasn't just attraction. It was something darker, more consuming, something that could destroy all three of them. "We need to talk about what happens next," he said. "What happens next?" Ara murmured, stepping close enough that he could smell her perfume. "Is you finish that drink. Then we finish what we started before we were interrupted." "Ara, she's right." Aerin moved behind him, her hands sliding up his chest. "We've spent our entire lives being told what we can't have, who we can't touch, how we must behave. I'm done pretending." Her lips brushed his ear. "Aren't you tired of pretending, Malik?" He was. God, he was exhausted from it. From maintaining professional distance when all he wanted was to pull them both close. From ignoring the electricity that sparked every time their fingers touched. From pretending he didn't dream about both of them, tangled and breathless, and his. But he also wasn't stupid. "Your father will have me killed," he said quietly. "Not tomorrow, not next week. But eventually, when he's certain the scandal can be contained, I'll disappear. You know this." "Then we'll make sure he can't," Ara said. She set down her glass, her dark eyes meeting his with absolute certainty. "The leak isn't just data theft, Malik. It's proof of something bigger. Something that could bring down half the conglomerate if it goes public." Malik went still. "You knew?" "We suspected," Aerin corrected. She moved to face him, creating a triangle of tension. "Someone inside the family is embezzling through shell corporations. The encrypted transfers you found? They're just the surface. There's a paper trail that leads directly to—" She hesitated. "To your uncle," Malik finished. He'd already pieced it together, but hearing it confirmed sent adrenaline spiking through his veins. "Minister Seo Junwoo, your father's brother." "Our father's heir apparent if anything happens to him," Ara added grimly, "which makes us obstacles." The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The twins weren't just heiresses, they were targets, and Malik, by getting close to them, had painted a target on his own back. "You used me," he said slowly. "This whole time you needed someone from outside the family, someone expendable." "At first," Aerin admitted, and the honesty cut deeper than any lie could have. "But then we fell for you," Ara finished. "Both of us. Stupidly, recklessly, against every rule we've ever lived by." Malik laughed, sharp and bitter. "So what now? We three against your entire family? Against one of the most powerful dynasties in Asia?" "Yes," they said in unison. The certainty in their voices should have terrified him. Instead, it ignited something primal in his chest. He'd spent years being the smart one, the safe one, the man who calculated risks and never bet more than he could afford to lose. But looking at these two women, brilliant and dangerous and utterly forbidden, Malik realized he was already all in. He set down his glass. "If we do this, we do it my way. No more secrets between us, no more games. And when the time comes to burn it all down—" He looked between them. "We burn it together." Aerin's smile was pure wickedness. "I thought you'd never ask." Ara moved first, pulling him into a kiss that tasted like whiskey and promises. When she broke away, Aerin took her place, her mouth softer but no less demanding. Then they were both against him, a tangle of hands and heat and hunger. And Malik stopped thinking about consequences. He lifted Aerin, her legs wrapping around his waist as he carried her toward the bedroom. Ara followed, already slipping out of her dress, and for one perfect moment, the world outside ceased to exist. But even as he lost himself in them, Malik's mind was cataloging variables. They had 4 days until Monday's deadline. 4 days to build a case that would protect them from Daejin's wrath and expose Junwoo's betrayal. 4 days before everything exploded. The next morning arrived brutal and bright. Malik woke tangled between the twins, Aaron's head on his chest and Ara curled against his side. For a few drowsy seconds, he let himself believe this could work. Then his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You have something that belongs to me. Return it, or the sisters pay the price. You have 72 hours. Malik's blood turned to ice. He extracted himself carefully, not waking either woman, and checked his laptop. The encrypted files he'd been compiling, 6 months of evidence against Junwoo, were gone, wiped remotely, as if they'd never existed. Someone had been watching. Someone had been waiting. He looked back at the twins, still sleeping peacefully, unaware that the clock had just started counting down to their destruction. And Malik realized with sickening clarity that saving them might require sacrificing everything he'd found in their arms. His phone buzzed again. Another message, this one with an attached photo. It showed Malik entering the penthouse last night, time-stamped and crystal clear. The caption read, "Imagine what else I have." Malik's jaw clenched. Whoever was playing this game had been 3 steps ahead from the beginning. And now, with his evidence gone and a deadline ticking, he had exactly 1 move left. He'd have to make a deal with the devil himself, Minister Seo Junwoo, and pray he could outmaneuver a man who'd been destroying enemies since before Malik was born. Behind him, Aerin stirred. "Come back to bed," she murmured sleepily. Malik looked at her, memorizing the curve of her face in the morning light, then at Ara, equally beautiful, equally doomed if he failed. "Soon," he lied, pulling on his clothes. "I just need to take care of something first." He was out the door before either of them could protest, before his resolve could crack. The message had given him an address, a meeting place, and Malik knew, with the cold certainty of a man who'd already lost everything that mattered, that walking through that door might be the last choice he ever made. But for them, for the twin heiresses who'd shattered his careful world and remade it into something worth dying for, he'd face whatever hell was waiting. The city swallowed him whole as he disappeared into the morning traffic, unaware that both Aerin and Ara were now awake, staring at his retreating figure through the penthouse window, and unaware that they'd just made a decision of their own, one that would change everything. The warehouse reeked of salt water and rust. Malik stepped through the darkness, his hand instinctively reaching for the knife hidden in his jacket. The address had led him here, to the abandoned shipping district where Seoul's glittering skyline gave way to forgotten industrial bones. "Punctual," a voice called from the shadows. "I appreciate that in a man who's about to lose everything." Minister Seo Junwoo emerged into the weak light filtering through broken windows. He was older than his brother Daejin, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, wearing a suit that cost more than most people earned in a year. 2 bodyguards flanked him, hands resting on concealed weapons. "You have my attention," Malik said evenly. "What do you want?" "The same thing you want." Junwoo smiled, cold and calculating. "To survive. You've been digging into accounts that don't concern you, Mr. Okonkwo. Asking questions that make powerful people nervous. Questions about where $50 million disappeared to over 6 months? Malik stepped closer, refusing to show fear. Questions about shell corporations registered in your wife's maiden name? Careful. The word was velvet over steel. You're in no position to make accusations. Neither are you. Malik pulled out his phone, showing the blank screen where his evidence used to be. You wiped my files. But what you don't know is that I'm not the only one who's seen them. It was a bluff. A desperate, dangerous bluff. But Junwoo's expression flickered, just for a second. And Malik knew he'd drawn blood. The twins, Junwoo said softly. You showed them. I showed them everything. Another lie, but Malik sold it with conviction. Kill me, and they'll burn your entire operation to the ground. They're smarter than you think, meaner too. Junwoo laughed, genuine and unsettling. Oh, I know exactly how smart my nieces are. That's why I've already made arrangements. He nodded to one of his guards, who pulled out a tablet and turned it toward Malik. The screen showed surveillance footage. The penthouse. Last night. But not the interrupted moment with Daejin. This was earlier, much earlier. It showed Malik pressed against Ara in the kitchen, her dress hiked up around her thighs, his mouth on her throat while Aerin sat alone in the living room, unaware and excluded. Malik's stomach dropped. Interesting dynamic, Junwoo mused. The great cybersecurity expert can't even manage his own heart. You prefer the cold one, don't you? Ara, the calculating twin, while poor Aerin, so passionate, so willing, gets your scraps. That's not... It doesn't matter what it is. Junwoo pocketed the tablet. What matters is that I now have leverage over all three of you. You think my brother was angry last night? Wait until he sees this. Wait until Aerin realizes her own sister has been stealing more than just shared kisses. The trap had been there all along. Malik had been so focused on the financial conspiracy that he'd missed the personal one. Junwoo hadn't just been embezzling money, he'd been collecting ammunition against everyone in his path. What do you want? Malik asked again, voice rough. Simple. You deliver your report on Monday. You tell Daejin the leak was external. Chinese hackers, North Korean agents, take your pick. You exonerate the family completely. Then you disappear back to whatever African nation you crawled from, and we all pretend this never happened. And if I refuse? Then I show Daejin this footage. I show him how you've been corrupting his daughters. I show him proof that you three plan to blackmail the family with fabricated evidence. Junwoo's smile was a knife's edge. And then I watch him tear you apart. Slowly. Malik's mind raced. Every option led to ruin. Expose Junwoo and risk destroying the twins' relationship with their father. Refuse and be framed as a conspirator. Comply and abandon the women who'd become everything to him. I need time, he said. You have until Monday morning, 9 a.m. sharp. Junwoo turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Mr. Okonkwo? Stay away from my nieces. Consider it a professional courtesy. The next time you touch them, I'll know, and I won't be as generous. The warehouse door slammed shut, leaving Malik alone with the wreckage of his choices. He returned to the penthouse 2 hours later to find chaos. Raised voices echoed through the halls before he even opened the door. Inside, Aerin stood with her back to the window, arms crossed defensively. Ara faced her from across the room, eyes blazing with cold fury. Don't get to decide what I do with my own body, Ara was saying. Our body, Aerin shot back. That's what we promised each other. Everything shared, everything equal. But you've been sneaking around behind my back, haven't you? Taking more, demanding more, making sure you're always his favorite. Stop. Malik's voice cut through the argument like a blade. Both women turned to him, and the raw pain in their expressions made his chest ache. Both of you, stop. Did you think I wouldn't notice? Aerin's voice cracked. The way you look at her differently? The way your hand finds hers first? I've spent my entire life being identical to her, Malik. Identical in every way that matters, but apparently not to you. Aerin. Don't. She held up a hand. Just tell me the truth. If you had to choose, if you could only have one of us, which one would it be? The silence that followed was devastating. Malik opened his mouth, but the lie wouldn't come. because the truth was worse than anything Aerin imagined. Yes, he loved them both, but Ara understood him in ways Aerin didn't. Ara's darkness matched his own. Ara didn't flinch from the ugliness of what they were doing. She embraced it, and Aerin saw it all on his face. "I see." Her voice went flat, emotionless. "Well, that answers that." "It's not that simple," Malik started, but Aerin was already grabbing her coat. "Actually, it is." She looked at her sister, and the betrayal in her eyes was absolute. "He's yours. You win. Congratulations on being the better twin." "Aerin, don't do this," Ara said, and for the first time, Malik heard genuine fear in her voice. "Please, we can figure this out." "There's nothing to figure out." Aerin moved toward the door. "I'm going to Father. I'm going to tell him everything, about Malik, about Junwoo, about all of it. Let him decide what happens next." "You can't." Malik stepped in front of her, blocking her path. "Your uncle has footage of us, all of us. He'll use it to destroy—" "Good." Aerin's smile was broken glass. "Maybe we all deserve to be destroyed." She shoved past him, and Malik let her go. Because stopping her would require force, and he'd already hurt her enough. The door slammed. The echo rang like a death knell. Ara stood frozen, staring at where her sister had been. "She'll actually do it," she whispered. "She'll burn everything down just to make sure we burn with her. Then we need to move fast." Malik's mind was already calculating. "How much cash can you access without triggering alerts?" "Enough." "Why?" "Because we're leaving. Tonight. Both of us." He pulled out his phone, started making calls. "I have contacts in Lagos. We can disappear there, at least temporarily. Your uncle wants me gone anyway. This just accelerates the timeline." "And Aerin?" The question hung heavy between them. Malik looked at Ara, at the woman he'd chosen without meaning to, and saw his own guilt reflected back. "We can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved," he said quietly. Ara's expression hardened. "No, I'm not leaving her. Not like this." She grabbed her own phone. "I know where she's going. I can stop her before she reaches Father." "Ara, you want me to choose between you and my sister?" Her voice turned razor sharp. "After everything we've been through? After promising we were in this together?" Malik had no answer. Because she was right. He'd broken the promise first by letting his preference show, by giving Ara the parts of himself he'd withheld from Aerin, by creating the crack that had just shattered everything. "Go," he said finally. "Stop her. I'll handle Junwoo." "How?" "By giving him exactly what he wants." Malik pulled out his laptop, fingers flying across the keys. "A confession. A scapegoat. A story that ends with me as the villain and the SEO family as innocent victims." "That'll destroy you." "Yeah." He didn't look up. "But it'll save you both." "That's worth it." Ara crossed the room in 3 strides and grabbed his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. "I didn't ask you to be a martyr. I asked you to be mine." Her kiss was fierce, claiming, desperate. "Don't you dare sacrifice yourself without giving me a say. There's no other way. There's always another way." She released him, already moving toward the door. "Give me 2 hours. If I can't bring Aerin back, if I can't make her see reason, then we'll talk about sacrifice. But not before." She was gone before Malik could protest, leaving him alone with his laptop and the weight of impossible choices. He stared at the blinking cursor, at the confession he'd been drafting. Every word felt like a nail in his own coffin. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Tick-tock. Mr. Okonkwo." 48 hours left. Malik's jaw clenched. Junwoo was playing with him, tightening the noose incrementally. But 2 could play that game. He opened a secure browser and started typing. Not a confession. A manifesto. Every shred of evidence he'd compiled before the wipe, reconstructed from memory and cached files Junwoo hadn't known to look for. Shell corporations, wire transfers, meeting minutes from board sessions where Junwoo had systematically positioned himself to inherit the empire. If Malik was going down, he'd drag the minister with him. An hour later, his phone rang. Ara's number. "Did you find her?" He answered immediately. "Yes." Ara's voice was strange, shaken. "Malik, you need to come to the Grand Hanak Hotel, Presidential Suite, now." "What happened?" "Just come." "And Malik?" She paused. "Bring anything you can use as a weapon." The line went dead. Malik's blood turned cold. He grabbed his jacket, checked the knife he kept hidden, and was out the door in 30 seconds. The hotel was 20 minutes away. He made it in 12, breaking every traffic law in existence. The presidential suite door was ajar when he arrived. Malik pushed it open slowly, every instinct screaming danger. Inside, Ara stood near the window. Aerin sat on the couch, tear-streaked but unharmed, and between them, casually pouring 3 glasses of wine, was Minister Seo Junwoo. "Ah, the guest of honor." Junwoo smiled. "We've been waiting for you." Malik's hand moved toward his knife, but Ara shook her head minutely, a warning. "Relax, Mr. Okonkwo. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be bleeding." Junwoo handed glasses to the twins, kept one for himself. "I'm here to propose a different arrangement, one that benefits all of us." "I'm listening," Malik said carefully. "My nieces have made me an interesting offer." Junwoo swirled his wine. "They'll help me take control of the company from my brother. In exchange, I protect your little menage from public scandal and give you all the evidence I've collected." Malik looked between the twins. Aerin wouldn't meet his eyes. Ara's expression was unreadable. "You want us to help you commit patricide," Malik said flatly. "I prefer to think of it as succession planning." Junwoo's smile was serpentine. "Daejeon is old, stubborn, and stuck in the past. Under my leadership, the Seo Empire could expand beyond Asia. And you 3, he gestured with his glass. "You could have everything you want. Each other, freedom, power. At the cost of betraying their father." "Their father who would kill you on sight," Junwoo countered. "Their father who's already arranging marriages for both of them to consolidate political alliances. Their father who sees them as assets, not daughters." He leaned forward. "I'm offering you all a way out, the only way out." Malik looked at Ara. "Is this what you want?" "I want to survive," she said quietly. "I want us all to survive. If that means making a deal with a devil we know, rather than facing one we don't," she shrugged. "Then yes, this is what I want." "Aerin?" Aerin finally looked up, and the emptiness in her eyes was worse than any anger. "I want my sister back. I want to matter to someone the way she matters to you. If helping Uncle Junwoo achieves that," her voice cracked, "then I'll burn the world down." Malik felt the trap closing around him. This was the crisis point, the moment where every choice led to damnation. Refuse and Junwoo would destroy them all. Agree, and he'd become exactly what he'd always fought against, a man who sacrificed principles for survival. But looking at the twins, at the desperation and determination in their faces, Malik realized the truth. He'd already made his choice the moment he'd touched them, the moment he'd let himself fall. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. Junwoo's smile widened. "Simple. Monday morning, you'll deliver your report as planned. But you'll add one critical detail, evidence that Daejeon himself has been siphoning funds. Fabricated, of course, but convincing enough to trigger a board investigation. That'll destroy him." "That's the point." Junwoo set down his glass. "Once the board loses confidence, they'll vote for new leadership. I've already secured enough votes. All I need is the spark." "And what happens to Daejeon after?" "He retires, quietly, comfortably. I'm not a monster, Mr. Okonkwo, just a businessman." Junwoo stood. "You have until Monday to decide, but know this, if you refuse, If you try to expose me, I'll make sure all three of you pay, starting with them." He left without waiting for a response. The door clicked shut, and the silence that followed was suffocating. Aerin stood abruptly. "I need air." "Aerin, wait!" Ara started, but her sister was already gone. Malik moved to the window, staring out at the city lights. Behind him, he heard Ara approach. "Tell me we're doing the right thing," she whispered. "I don't know if there is a right thing anymore." He turned to face her. "We've crossed too many lines, made too many compromises. Then let's cross one more." Ara's hands slid up his chest. "Let's stop pretending this is about saving anyone but ourselves. Let's stop pretending I'm not what you want most." Her mouth found his, and Malik didn't pull away. Because she was right. Even now, even drowning in guilt and consequence, he wanted her more than air. But as they tumbled onto the couch, as clothes fell away and boundaries blurred, Malik caught sight of something through the window. Aerin, standing on the street below, looking up at them with an expression that would haunt him forever. Then she turned and walked away into the soul night, and Malik knew with crushing certainty that they'd just lost something irretrievable. The game had changed. The stakes had risen. And Monday morning was 36 hours away. Malik didn't sleep that night. He sat in the hotel suite, watching dawn break over Seoul, replaying Aerin's face at the window over and over. The look of absolute devastation. The moment she'd realized she'd lost not just him, but her sister too. His phone buzzed at 6 a.m. A text from Aerin. "Rooftop garden. Lotta Tower. Come alone." He was there in 40 minutes, taking the elevator to the observation deck that doubled as an exclusive garden space. The city sprawled below, beautiful and merciless. Aerin stood at the railing, wind whipping her hair, and didn't turn when he approached. "I'm not here to forgive you," she said quietly. "I'm here because despite everything, I still love you. Both of you. And I'm tired of pretending that makes me weak. It doesn't... Let me finish." She finally turned and her eyes were clear, resolved. "Last night I walked for hours. I thought about going to Father, about burning it all down like I threatened. But then I realized something." She stepped closer. "We've been playing by their rules our entire lives. Father's rules, society's rules, even Junwoo's rules. And where has it gotten us? Trapped, controlled, always dancing to someone else's rhythm." Malik waited, sensing something shifting beneath her words. "I don't want to help Junwoo destroy Father," Aerin continued. "But I also don't want to keep living in this golden cage. So I have a different proposal." Her smile was sharp, dangerous. "What if we burned it all down ourselves? Not for Junwoo, for us." "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we take everything we can carry and disappear. Lagos, like you mentioned. Or anywhere else Father and Junwoo can't reach us." She pulled out her phone, showing him account numbers. "Ara and I each have access to trust funds worth $20 million. Emergency money Father set aside that we can withdraw without board approval. Combined with whatever you've saved, that's not enough to run forever. No, but it's enough to start fresh, to build something that's actually ours." Aerin's voice turned fierce. "I'm done being an heiress. I'm done being a pawn. If the price of freedom is walking away from the Empire, then I'll pay it. Question is, will you?" Malik's mind raced through the implications. Absconding with the twins would make them fugitives in their own country. Daejin would send people after them. Junwoo would see it as betrayal and release his evidence anyway. They'd be starting over with nothing but money and each other. "What about Ara?" he asked. "Have you talked to her?" "Not yet. I wanted to hear your answer first." Aerin closed the distance between them, her hand finding his. "Because if you choose this, choose us, then it can't be halfway. It can't be you preferring her while I get your scraps. It has to be equal, shared, everything. And if I can't promise that, then I walk away. For real this time. Her voice didn't waver. I deserve better than settling for second place in your heart. Malik looked at her, really looked. At the steel beneath the beauty. At the woman who'd been overlooked her entire life for being seconds younger than her twin, minutes less cold, degrees more emotional. He'd done the same thing, he realized. Chosen Ara's ice over Aerin's fire, without examining why. You're right, he said quietly. I did prefer her. Not because she's better, but because she scared me less. She doesn't demand as much, doesn't feel as deeply. With her, I could keep parts of myself locked away. He cupped Aerin's face. But that's not love. That's cowardice. So what is love? She whispered. Loving you both enough to stop choosing. He kissed her, soft and deliberate. If we do this, we do it as three. No favorites, no hierarchy, just us against the world. Aerin kissed him back, and this time it tasted like forgiveness, like new beginnings. When they broke apart, she smiled. Then let's go get my sister and start a revolution. They found Ara at the penthouse, packing a bag with methodical precision. She looked up when they entered, and something flickered across her face. Hope, fear, relief tangled together. I saw you leave together, she said. You thought we were abandoning you, Aerin finished. She crossed the room, pulled her sister into a fierce embrace. Never. Not ever again. We're twins. We share everything, including him. Ara's arms came up slowly, then tightened. I'm sorry. For stealing those moments. For making you feel less than... We were both wrong. Aerin pulled back, gripping her sister's shoulders. We let him divide us when we should have been united. But that ends now. She looked between them. Malik has a plan. A crazy, reckless, probably suicidal plan, and I need to know if you're in. Malik explained quickly. The escape to Lagos, the funds, the new life. As he talked, he watched Ara's expression shift from shock to calculation to something that looked like liberation. Father will send people after us, she said when he finished. Private contractors, the kind who don't ask questions. I know. Junwoo will expose us anyway, release the footage out of spite. Probably. We'll be starting over with nothing but money that won't last forever. Yes. Ara's smile was slow and devastating. When do we leave? The relief that flooded through Malik was physical. 72 hours. We need time to liquidate without triggering alarms. Then we have 72 hours to get this right. Ara moved toward him, then paused, looking at her sister. All of us. Together. No more division. Aerin stepped forward, completing the triangle. No more jealousy, no more competition. From this moment on, we're a unit. Agreed. Malik pulled them both close, one hand on each twin's waist. But before we become fugitives, before we burn our lives down and run... His voice dropped, intimate and raw. I need you both to understand what you're signing up for. I'm not a good man. I've done things in my past that would make you flinch. And if we do this, if we really run, I'll do worse to protect us. Good, Aerin said simply. Because we're not good women either. We've lied, manipulated, destroyed competitors without remorse. The SEO empire wasn't built on kindness. It was built on ruthlessness we inherited. Her hand slid up his chest. So stop treating us like we need protecting from the darkness. We were born in it. Ara's fingers tangled with her sister's on Malik's body. Show us who you really are. Not the professional consultant, not the careful strategist, the man underneath all that control. Something primal stirred in Malik's chest. They were giving him permission to stop holding back, to unleash everything he'd been restraining. And looking at them, these dangerous, beautiful women who'd chosen chaos over comfort, he felt the last of his reservations crumble. "Then tonight," he said, voice rough with promise, "before we start running, one night where nothing is forbidden, where we explore every boundary we've been too scared to cross." The air between them crackled with electricity. Aerin's breath quickened. Ara's pupils dilated. They both understood what he was offering. Not just sex, but complete surrender to the darkness they'd been dancing around since the beginning. "Yes," they whispered in unison. Malik didn't wait. He pulled Aerin into a bruising kiss, claiming her mouth with an intensity that made her moan. Then he turned to Ara, giving her the same treatment, refusing to let either feel secondary. His hands moved with purpose, unbuttoning Aerin's blouse, while his mouth stayed locked on Ara's, then switching, creating a rhythm that kept both twins gasping. They stumbled toward the bedroom, shedding clothes in a trail of expensive fabric and desperation. By the time they reached the bed, they were down to skin and need. Malik pushed Aerin down first, covering her body with his, but kept one hand extended toward Ara. "Together," he commanded. "I want both of you touching me while I'm inside her." Ara's eyes darkened with lust. She positioned herself beside them, her hands sliding across Malik's back, while he entered Aerin with one deep thrust. Aerin cried out, her fingers digging into his shoulders, and Ara leaned down to capture the sound with her mouth, kissing her sister while Malik moved. The intimacy of it, all three connected, boundaries dissolving, was almost overwhelming. Malik set a punishing pace, driving Aerin higher, while Ara's hands explored them both. When Aerin shattered beneath him, Malik pulled out and turned to Ara, giving her the same focused attention. But this time, Aerin didn't withdraw. She stayed close, her mouth on Malik's neck, her hands guiding his movements, whispering encouragements that made Ara arch off the bed. The twins moved around him with newfound synchronicity, learning the choreography of shared pleasure. Hours blurred together. Malik took his time learning the subtle differences in their bodies, how Aerin responded to roughness, while Ara preferred the slow build, how they both fell apart when he whispered their names, how their moans harmonized when they came together. He made sure neither felt neglected, alternating his attention with deliberate equality, proving with actions what words couldn't convey. When they finally collapsed in an exhausted tangle, dawn was breaking again. Malik lay between them, their heads on his chest, fingers intertwined across his stomach. His body ached in the best way possible. His mind felt clearer than it had in weeks. "That was—" Aerin started, then laughed breathlessly. "I don't even have words." "Perfect," Ara supplied. "That was perfect." Malik kissed the top of each head. "That was us. Finally getting it right." They dozed for a few hours, wrapped around each other, storing up strength for what came next. When they woke, the reality of their situation reasserted itself. They had 72 hours to disappear, and every minute counted. The next 3 days were a blur of controlled chaos. Aerin transferred her trust fund into cryptocurrency wallets, then split them across multiple exchanges to prevent tracking. Ara did the same, then added another 10 million she'd been hiding in offshore accounts even her father didn't know about. Malik liquidated his own assets, not much compared to the twins' wealth, but enough to contribute, and wiped every trace of his investigation from his systems. They purchased plane tickets under false identities, 3 different flights, all converging on Lagos within hours of each other. They secured temporary housing through encrypted channels, paying in cryptocurrency to avoid paper trails. They created new phones with untraceable numbers, abandoned their old devices completely, and through it all, they touched constantly. A hand on a shoulder while typing, a kiss stolen between transactions, silent reassurances that they were in this together. Sunday morning, Malik received a message from June Woo. "Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m., final offer. Don't be late." He deleted it without responding. By 9 a.m. Monday, they'd be 30,000 feet over the Atlantic Ocean. Sunday afternoon, Aerin and Seo's secretary called both twins to inform them of marriage meetings scheduled for the following week. Korean chaebols, carefully selected to strengthen political alliances. The secretary seemed surprised when both women laughed and hung up. Sunday night, they gathered in the penthouse one last time. 3 bags packed with essentials. 3 new passports with their faces and fake names. 3 lives about to be irrevocably changed. "Last chance to back out," Malik said, though he knew none of them would. "Once we board those planes, there's no coming back. Your father will disown you. Your family will hunt us. Everything you've ever known was never really ours to begin with," Aerin interrupted. She stood beside her sister, hands linked. "The only thing I've ever owned that mattered is standing right here." Ara squeezed her sister's hand. "We've spent our lives being what the Seo Empire needed us to be. Perfect daughters, obedient heiresses, beautiful assets to be traded for power." Her voice hardened. "It's time to find out who we are when we're not performing." Malik felt something shift in his chest. Not just love, though he felt that in overwhelming waves, but respect, admiration. These women were walking away from billions, from status, from everything most people spent their lives chasing. And they were doing it with their heads high and their hearts open. "Then let's make this official," he said. He pulled a small box from his pocket, something he'd purchased that morning with the last of his legitimate money. Inside were 3 rings, simple black tungsten bands with no inscription. "I know we can't legally marry. I know this isn't traditional, but I want us to have something. A symbol that we belong to each other." Aaron's eyes filled with tears. "Malik." "You don't have to wear them in public," he continued. "They're not about proving anything to anyone else. They're about us knowing, about having something that marks this moment." He took out the first ring, slipped it on Aaron's finger. "I choose you. Every day. For as long as we have." He repeated the gesture with Ara, his voice steady despite the emotion threatening to choke him. Then both twins took the 3rd ring together and slid it onto his hand. "We choose you," they said in unison, "for as long as we have." The moment hung suspended, perfect and fragile. Then Aerin pulled him into a kiss that tasted like salt and promises. Ara joined them, and for several heartbeats, the world contracted to just the 3 of them, bound by rings and recklessness and love that defied every rule they'd ever been taught. When they broke apart, Malik checked his watch. "We need to move. First flight leaves in 3 hours." They took separate cars to the airport, arriving at different terminals to avoid suspicion. Malik went through security with his heart hammering, certain someone would stop him, but his false passport held. His face didn't trigger any alerts. He boarded the plane to Frankfurt, his connecting city, without incident. 12 hours later, he landed in Germany, bought a coffee, waited in the international terminal for his Lagos connection. His phone, his new clean phone, buzzed with 2 messages. Aerin and Ara both confirming they'd made their flights, both en route, both safe. Relief made him dizzy. The Lagos flight was 11 hours. Malik spent it going over their plans again, looking for holes. They'd set up a cybersecurity consulting firm, legitimate business with a real client base. He'd handle the technical side, while the twins managed operations and business development. Their combined expertise was formidable. They could actually make this work, if they survived long enough. He tried not to think about Daejin's fury when he discovered his daughters gone. Tried not to imagine Junwoo's reaction to being outmaneuvered. Tried not to calculate how long it would take for professional trackers to pick up their trail. Instead, he thought about Aaron's laugh, about Ara's calculating mind, about waking up between them every morning without fear of discovery, about building something that was truly theirs. The plane touched down in Lagos at 7 p.m. local time. The heat hit him like a physical force when he stepped onto the tarmac. The airport was chaos, beautiful, vibrant, overwhelming chaos. Malik navigated through customs with his fake passport, retrieved his bag, and headed for the exit. That's when he saw them. Aerin and Ara standing together near the taxi queue, scanning the crowd. They'd arrived 30 minutes before him, having taken a more direct route. When Aerin spotted him, her face lit up with pure joy. Ara's smile was slower, but no less genuine. Malik crossed the distance in long strides and pulled them both into his arms. They stood there for a long moment, three people from different worlds who'd found each other against all odds, now standing in a country none of them had ever called home. "We did it," Aerin whispered. "We actually did it." "We're really free," Ara added, sounding almost disbelieving. Malik kissed them both, not caring who saw. "We're really free." They collected their bags and headed outside to find the driver Malik had arranged. The city of Lagos sprawled around them. 20 million people, endless noise, vibrant life. A place where 3 runaways could disappear into the fabric of existence. The driver loaded their bags while they climbed into the back seat, Malik in the middle with a twin on each side. As the car pulled away from the airport, as Seoul and their old lives receded into memory, they allowed themselves to relax for the first time in days. "What do we do first?" Aerin asked. "Find our apartment, sleep for 12 hours, then start building our empire." Malik's hand found both of theirs. "Our way, our rules." "I like the sound of that," Ara said. The Lagos traffic was legendary, chaotic and slow and utterly unpredictable. But Malik didn't mind. For the first time in months, he wasn't running towards something or away from something. He was simply existing in the moment with the two people who'd become his entire world. The apartment was in Victoria Island, an upscale neighborhood that offered both security and anonymity. The building was modern, secure, and asked no questions as long as rent was paid. Their unit was on the 10th floor with a view of the Lagos Lagoon. They stood on the balcony that night, watching lights reflect off the water, drinking cheap wine from plastic cups because they hadn't bought proper glasses yet. The air was thick with humidity and possibility. "Do you think they're looking for us yet?" Aerin asked quietly. "Probably," Malik admitted. "Your father would have discovered you missing by now, Junwoo too." "Let them look," Ara said fiercely. "We're ghosts now. We don't exist in their world anymore." "We exist in ours," Aerin added. She raised her plastic cup. "To new beginnings, to freedom, to us." They clinked their makeshift glasses together, and the sound was small but significant. A toast to their rebellion, to their love, to their future. That night, they christened their new bed with the same passion that had marked their final night in Seoul. But this time, there was no urgency, no fear of discovery. Just 3 people learning the geography of each other's bodies without restraint or shame. Afterward, lying in the darkness with the sounds of Lagos filtering through the open window, Malik felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Peace. Genuine, unguarded peace. He was almost asleep when his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. His blood turned to ice as he read it. Did you really think it would be that easy? Attached was a photo, taken 1 hour ago, showing all 3 of them on their apartment balcony, clearly visible from across the street. Malik's heart stopped. He looked at the window, suddenly seeing it not as freedom, but as exposure. Someone was watching. Someone had followed them. Someone who knew exactly where they were. A second message arrived. Impressive disappearing act. But you took something that doesn't belong to you, and I always collect my debts. See you soon. J.W. Junwoo. Somehow, impossibly, he'd tracked them across continents within hours of their arrival. Malik's mind raced. How? They'd been so careful, used false identities, paid in cryptocurrency, left no trail. Then it hit him. The rings. The tungsten rings he'd bought that morning in Seoul. He'd used his real credit card. One final transaction before abandoning his old identity. And someone had been monitoring his accounts, waiting for exactly that kind of slip. One moment of sentiment, one purchase driven by emotion rather than logic, and it had exposed them completely. Beside him, Aerin stirred. "What's wrong?" Malik looked at the twins, beautiful and trusting and completely unaware that their freedom had just become a countdown to confrontation. He had two choices. Tell them the truth and watch their joy shatter, or lie and try to handle Junwoo himself. But they'd promised no more secrets, no more division. "We have a problem," he said quietly, showing them the messages. The color drained from both twins' faces. Ara sat up, immediately shifting into tactical mode. "How long do we have?" "I don't know. Could be hours. Could be days." "Then we move again," Aerin said. "Tonight. Different city. Different country if necessary." "He'll just follow us again," Malik countered. "He's been tracking us somehow. Until we figure out how, running is useless." "Then we stop running," Ara said, and something dangerous flickered in her eyes. "We set a trap. We end this." Malik looked between them, seeing his own determination reflected back. They'd come too far, risked too much to let Junwoo take it all away. But fighting back meant escalation. It meant blood. "If we do this," he warned, "if we really go to war with him, there's no walking away. It's win or die." "Then we win," the twins said together. And in that moment, watching these fierce women transform from fugitives into warriors, Malik realized their story wasn't ending in Lagos. It was just beginning. Somewhere in the city below, Junwoo was making his move. Somewhere, their old lives were colliding with their new ones. And somewhere, a clock was ticking down to the confrontation that would determine whether their forbidden love story ended in freedom or in flames. Malik stood, already planning. "Get dressed. We have work to do." Because if Minister Seo Junwoo wanted a war, they'd give him one he'd never forget. The night stretched ahead, full of danger and possibility, and the dark romance of three people who'd chosen each other over everything else, and refused to let anyone take that choice away.